Hi, let's discuss about how we are going to handle the errors in fetch API explicitly using use effect and trying to display the data in the UI. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. Here is our post list where we are able to display the data. We have not handled a situation when something goes wrong, means your server, you are not able to retrieve the data from the server. How do you handle those scenarios? So we are going to discuss here how to catch the errors in React.js whenever we are trying to use the fetch API. So here there is a special method called as catch. So whenever you want to um, handle the failures, you should can have a special catch method available in the fetch API. Fetch API has then uncatch. Catch is used for handling the errors. So I'll try to make it to the two-line statement so that we can debug this. Yes. And I'll try to have one state to maintain the error message. So I'll call it as constant error and set error to handle the error message. And whenever there is an error, I'm going to update the error as error in fetching the data. And if there is an error, I'll try to respond accordingly. If error, I want to show that there is an error message. Okay. Now, whenever we are trying to capture the response, here we need to check whether the response is successful or not. So what does that mean? The response object contains a OK method. Like if it is a OK, then if it is OK, then it indicates that I am successfully able to get the response. If it is not OK, then there is an issue in fetching the response from the backend. Okay, let's try to show the positive scenario here. So we have our application running. Let's go to inspect. And you can see in our network tab, try to reload. So our network tab shows that there is a request for the post and we got the response also successfully. And if we need to debug, we can put a breakpoint here. And yeah, you can even put a breakpoint here and try to reload. So here, whenever there is a fetch API, it is successful. Let's try to monitor our response object. This response object contains what is the status of the response. So in server side, whenever we get a response, there are a couple of like 200 indicates success, 400 indicates failure due to the client issue, 500 indicate failure due to the server issue. Okay, they are called the 500 are called as server errors, 400 called as the client errors. So here we have a okay, means we are able to successfully get the response. So once it is okay, then we should be able to do the response.json. Once we do the response.json, so we are able to actually capture our response. Okay, now we are going to do that. I'll not have on this debugging there. So this way we are able to show the data in our UI. This is a positive case. Now what I do, I'll try to change this method to API to post one. So this API doesn't exist. Like if you go and try to hit this in the browser, this API doesn't exist. So you're not going to get the response. Now in this scenario, let's see how our server is responding. So here is our React app. You're able to see error in fetching the data. The reason, if you go and try to inspect this code now, go to the and try to reload. When you try to reload and see in the if you see in the fetch method, it says failed to load resource. The reason server has been responded with status called as 404. So what does that indicate? It is not able to get the data because the API doesn't exist on the server. And now if you try to monitor the response object, the response dot okay, no, is response is okay, no, it's false. Previously it was true. What was the status earlier? It was 200. Now what was the status? It is 404. So this response is not successful. Even if you go and observe your network tab, you are going to see the same fact. So now what you are doing here, you are going and throwing an error message here at this moment, error in fetching the data. Once you throw, it will go to the catch. In the catch method, what exactly we are doing, we are maintaining the state for capturing the error. Initially the error has empty message. Now when you use the set error, you are trying to go and capture the error message saying that error in fetching the data. So once that is done, we are trying to log it to the message console, and if you see that if there is an error here, if there is an error, then what exactly you are doing, you are displaying that error message in the div tag. Okay, and yeah, if you go to the network, if you see this now, post 1, the request is post 1, and again the response was 404 not found, and you will not be able to see any response here. That's the reason we are displaying error in fetching the data. In case if you don't handle this message, what happens was, if you don't handle this, then you will get an error saying that okay, I'm not able to display. For example, let's see, you are not handling this response here, and you directly go and try to parse the response.json. What happens, let me show that also. Previously what we are doing is we are directly saying response.json. We are directly returning response.json. So what happens at this moment, now if you go and try to observe your UI and try to reload, so you are going to get that, and when you try to see, the response is false, and you are going to get an error saying post.map is not a function. So what does that mean? We have the post, which is an array, and if it is a success, then only you are inflating the post here using the set post, but without that getting inflated, because when you say restaurant.response.json, it doesn't come to this method to get update the data, and you are trying to do a map on the post. So that's the reason it says post.map is not a function. In the sense, here post is not initialized, and that's the reason when you try to do a map, it is going to give an error. But that's the reason, in order to show a we should never show the errors in the code directly to the browser. So what we need to do, we need to go and try to show a generic message. That's the reason what exactly we are trying to do here. We are explicitly checking the response. If the response is successfully, then only we are parsing the response data. Otherwise we are not parsing it, and we are even capturing the error also, setting the error message accordingly. That's the reason in this case you are going to get a generic message saying that there is an error in fetching the data. So what we have done, we have went and updated our existing example to have the error messages captured also.